Recording. What's going on, guys? You know what it is. It's Aaron, the trucking guy. We are on the No Bullshit podcast, and we've got Andreas here with Lion Logistics. Man, we're excited for this one. This is a client that we worked with, and we're going to get his, perspective and his take on what it was like to work with the trucking guy, but also just the market in general, what it's like to own a trucking company, the struggles, the whole 9 yards. So thank you for coming on the podcast, man. I really appreciate it. And if you wouldn't mind, tell us who you are, where you're at, and kind of what you got going on real quick.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate Aaron for having me on here. It's always an honor, man, talking with you and getting some new ideas coming through. So I'm really excited. But yeah, I'm from California. I've been running my own trucking company now for about to hit 3 years. I got in 2021 or end of 2020 is when I got in. Obviously, the market was still good then. And then I got in then, and then ever since then I've been in it. I love it so far.
Nice. Awesome, man. Awesome. So, what are you guys doing? Open deck? You're doing hot shots? You're doing flatbeds, dry vans? What? I know you got a couple of trucks and we work together. I know it's been a little bit, but what kind of carrying are you guys doing?
Yeah, we mainly focus. We've been focusing on hot shots. That's some good luck that I've been having. That's what I started in. As soon as I got into this industry, I started in the hot shot industry. So the flatbed with a pickup truck. It's always been working out for me. I really enjoy it. So as I progressed and added drivers, owner operators, I've been hiring hot shots ever since. So
awesome.
That's our main focus now, and mainly flatbeds.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the hot shot game, man. Can you share a little bit about your background? Like, what was you doing before trucking, man? Before you got into trucking, what were you doing?
Yeah. So, I've always been, I've never really enjoyed the 8 to 5, man. I've been in all these I worked for all these other companies. Sometimes I would last a couple weeks, sometimes I would last a couple months, and then I would quit and obviously look for my own thing. So prior to this, I used to work for Amazon. I used to work for OnTrack. So I used to be in the transportation industry. I've been in it for a couple of years prior, obviously working for the company. So I was more of a W-2 employee.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been in the transportation industry. Then I worked for my brother prior to that. He owns like a painting company. I did that for a couple of years. I went to college for 4 years prior to that. So it's been a good journey, man. And, always operating and doing your own thing always feels good. It's rewarding. Sometimes I put in 12, 14, 15 hours and it literally feels like 6 hours.
Right.
I'm tired at the end of the day, but it feels good because you're working towards something of your own. So, I've always had that mindset of kind of taking risk, leaping into something you don't know, and trying it out. Better to try it out than, don't know how it would end up. So, that's how I got here. And
that's awesome. So what, you're in SoCal or NorCal?
SoCal. So I'm in Orange County.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember you had told me several times. We've talked and we've had a lot of talks even outside of the consulting stuff, just kind of kicking back ideas and stuff. But so what the hell inspired you trucking? I know you said you were working, you did some Amazon stuff and this and that, but where'd the light bulb come on? Like, I'm going to start my own freaking trucking company.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been the kind of guy to try things. Like if it was an industry or a trend that was working and I could get on and learn it quick and adapt to it, I would typically try it out. I've tried a lot of things, but it was just one night we were having dinner, me and one of my friends, and out here in Orange County, and one of his friends just randomly popped up. I guess he was in the area and saw us there, and my friend knew him. And that guy was doing car hauling. So he's got about, as of now, I saw him about 4 days ago. He's got about 12 trucks right now. And he does car hauling, the big, 9 car haulers.
Oh, yeah, the big ones. That's awesome. He got 12 of those. Those fucking things ain't cheap, man.
Yeah, he's got about 7 of the semi trucks and then the rest enclosed.
Okay.
Trailers, the big long trailers.
Nice.
So he was there that night, and he told me that, hey, I'm in transportation. I mean, this was back in 2020. I mean, you would know it was still going good. That's
Right.
when the trucking industry was paying top dollar. But he was in it, and he was like, "Hey, if you want, I can get you on board." At the time, I think it was right when like COVID, it was going through the COVID season. Out here in Orange County, so a lot of places were still open, so we were still kind of going out, hanging out some of these spots.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Man, you got to try it out. If you want, I can get you on board." So in that whole process, I kind of started doing research, YouTube videos, hot shotting came up, and I started liking the process, the setup of it. And he was like, "Hey, I could get you a truck, I could get you a trailer, and you could get on board doing long hauls." Which I was never a fan of getting in a truck and just long hauls and being away from home. It was just not my thing. I always liked the entrepreneurial side of like opening a business, running it, making sure the whole back end works, marketing, all that good stuff. So in this whole process for a couple months, I started doing my own research, and I was like, screw it, I'm just going to open up my own. So I opened up my own business account, um, EIN, all that good stuff, apply for my MC, because just the way he was operating uh, wasn't really how I wanted to kind of run the business.
Right.
And I just, as I watched more videos and I got more educated on it, the flatbed industry just really enticed me more. I just like the whole, like, they get the load on your trailer, strap it down and take off. I just like the whole process of it. So, yeah, that's from him. Then I started opening my own, and then my company just launched. And I think I opened, what was it, February of 2021.
Okay. Okay. So you've been in it. That's awesome, man. So you've been in it now a little bit. Well, I'm not exactly sure of the date. I should have looked it up. I could probably go find it. But do you remember ballpark when we started working together? I know it's been every bit of that almost time. It must have been right after you started with maybe 22.
Yeah, early last year.
Yeah.
So I think it was January, February of last year. Because I remember I got my first guy on board in beginning of February.
Yeah. And we were just talking too off camera. You said that roughly it was like just a short amount of time. What was the time frame? 6 months or a couple months that you had already had some guys signed on. You went to as many as how many trucks, right?
Yeah. So we got to. I got on board with you. We did those conference calls. You gave me the contract. I mean, the blueprint you gave me, it really helped ease before I got the blueprint from you, it was kind of like, how do I onboard them? What are the questions I should ask them? What should I look for? What contract should I send over? Because, I mean, we're dealing with, truck and a trailer, thousand pounds being on the freeway every day. That's a high risk. You don't know who you hire. Does he drink? Is he an alcoholic? You just don't know what goes on. So, I got your blueprint, and then after that, I followed it literally step by step, putting ads up. I got a website in place, Instagram. I had no Instagram. I had no social media. I got all that in place. And then within a couple months, I was already at 5 drivers, which was, I mean, it was bringing me, I was making about $3K a driver, I would say, $3,500 a driver, all hot shots.
Right.
I know it was cool because they were doing self-dispatch.
Yeah.
So it was really on remote, I would say.
Right. That's awesome. You had that thing ticking almost like on its own leg, and you were just handling the payment processing and all that good stuff, getting payroll, and that's awesome, man. So in the journey, I think you told me you got more than 5 at one point, and then obviously the economy things, same thing with us. We were as big as like 60 trucks, and now we're like less than half of that. We had a lot of guys just quit, get out. We had to fire some guys too, but because that happens, bad apples and stuff. But at your peak, you were at like 10 or 12 or something. You went way down. So what would be a significant challenge that you kind of see, or a memorable challenge that you remember along this journey of trying to scale your trucking business? Just one memorable thing that you could give the listeners.
Yeah, I think the challenge was you gotta weave in through the good and the bad drivers that you bring on, and I would say is try not to rush the process too much of getting them onboarded, and better take an extra week. Sometimes that the drivers could get upset about it because they want to get going. But the hardest part was just getting anyone on, and then putting all that time into it, and then 2 or 3 weeks later they just quit or they go into a different industry. So that was the biggest challenge, is finding the right employees, contractors, I would say, to get on and for them to stay long term and that could actually grow with you into the company. That was a bit of a challenge. And then once we got to multiple drivers, it's you get all these calls coming in because I mean you're still the main guy. You don't have a manager that you hired. You're trying to
Right.
keep costs low. You're trying to expand slowly. You can't expand too much, especially with the insurance starts freaking out. So it's you got all these things coming on you because sometimes, especially at the beginning, the drivers will call you for anything. Any little
Yeah.
question will call you, especially the first like couple weeks. So really balancing and taking a step back and understanding the driver that hey, he is newer and he's confused on this instead of rather than just getting kind of upset about it or getting frustrated. I feel like just being in a relaxed mindset because the trucking industry really shifts into a lot of different parts constantly. It's never
Yeah.
like, after how it is. After 3, 4 o'clock, calls slow down, everything slows down. You can kind of chill back a little bit, not many calls coming in. But the
Yeah.
mornings and stuff like that, you're always constantly busy. So I think it's just
Yeah,
take
and you're even on Cali time, so half of the East is already at work before you even get up and get rolling. So you have to get up earlier than you
right.
normally would to deal with all that stuff because you're on the West Coast. People don't think about that. You want to open up a business, any business really, it don't have to be trucking on the West Coast, and the rest of the world runs on East time. Unfortunately, the New York Stock Exchange and everything gets up early. It don't work on West time. So
Right.
that's something that people got to think about if you're going to be a broker or a whatever, a freight, dispatcher, owner, whatever. But just so everybody knows, you got all owner operators, right? You don't own any trucks, right? They're all owner ops. That's kind
Yeah,
of
they're
what we
all
specialize in, teaching people.
Yeah, they're all owner ops. I really like the way that model works. One is because I've noticed when owner op when driver owns his own truck and trailer, he takes care of it as his own truck and trailer, which it is.
Right. He
So
takes pride in it. That's the thing,
yeah,
too.
he takes pride in it, man. All the drivers are always like, "Hey, this Saturday and Sunday I'm off. I'm going to be working on the truck."
Right.
Where sometimes I'm not saying all drivers, but a lot of times you can bring on people. And if it's your truck and trailer, obviously the income is a little bit higher from that, but they really do take care of their trucks and to make sure that it's on tip top, which is a huge part because, break
Right.
keep you out a week or two.
Yeah, I've done it both ways, and the company truck method, I don't like it at all. It doesn't work. They never take care of the equipment. You do make a little bit more money in some cases if you get good drivers. It's hard to get good drivers anymore because everybody wants to go the owner op route, right? Everybody eventually wants to be in business for themselves. So, in my opinion, step out of the way, let them do it. If you could facilitate getting trucks and doing a good lease purchase deal, since there's not many out there, but
Right.
that'd be the way to go too.
Yeah, and I looked at, like, for example, Uber or Lyft. I mean, those guys don't own, that company doesn't own
Right.
any.
They don't own any cars, and they're the biggest company, biggest fleet probably in the world.
Biggest fleet in the world, and the drivers love it. They're on their own schedule. It's their vehicle. They're everything. So
Yeah,
it really works.
exactly. They do have, I don't know if you know this, but they do have a program where you can actually get cars from them. Like if you don't have cars or credit and your car breaks down and you were doing Uber for some time, can't get a new car, they will actually lease or rent you a car or take you, they have a program with one of the enterprise type companies, and they will actually let you go over there, pick out your car. They have limited selection or whatever, but you can just get a car and they'll take it right out of your Uber settlements. It's wild. I had a friend that did that.
Yeah, and eventually I was going to get into. Earlier this year I was going to buy 2 semi trucks.
Yeah.
Just probably a reefer, and the market kind of tanked a little bit. Semi trucks, everything did go lower in price, but I was just like, I gotta maybe hold off for a little bit for now.
Yeah, I would definitely hold off. Right, I wouldn't buy any trucks unless you're going to drive the truck. That's the only time I recommend buying a truck is if you're going to drive the truck. If you're not, I don't recommend it. So, but can you share? I love asking the clients and anybody that comes on is, can you share a memorable success time when it was like when this all became real, like when it hit you and you were like, oh shit, like we're gonna have a fleet. Oh shit, this is really gonna work. Or the first time the logos were put on the truck, or just anything memorable. Like the first load. because I remember my first load like it was yesterday, the first load, and it actually got canceled. It was funny. I didn't even get a tonneau, and it was in the middle of the deep, deep hood. All the houses were boarded up in Little Rock, Arkansas to go pick up this load back when I was living there. It was funny. And the broker like lied about it. It was supposed to be a dry van load. He sent in a hot shot, which is what I started in. And I went over there to pick it up. And I remember like it was yesterday. I remember putting the logos on the side of the truck. I remember everything. Day one, first load. I didn't know how to book a load, getting the load board. Back then they didn't have apps. So you had to go on the computer, physically pull up the load board and shit, and whatnot. But what is your success story? What was your instant win where you really was like, this is gonna work?
Yeah, no, definitely. I remember my first load too, man. The first time I got that load, because I came out of like during COVID, this whole lockdowns and all that. I had nothing. Like I had no work, no nothing. So I literally I started from like ground zero. So as soon as I got up and going, I'm like, man, you could make 700, 1,000, 1,500 a day. It really just blew up my mindset. I'm like, man, and then you can start expanding it as soon as I got into your program too. I'm like, man, as soon as you can start, because you brought up a good point. You're like, what happens when you can't go drive in that truck and you get sick, or God forbid, whatever happens, you can't get in the truck and drive. Your income stops, and you see all this overhead coming. So that really blew up my mind to where I started the adding more owner operators and adding more drivers. And then as soon as I got them on board, and then I was still doing loads. I got to a point where I was like making over 30K a month. And I was like coming from zero to like a year and a half later. I was like, man, this is unreal. Like just the amount of putting some effort in and consistency to how far you could get in such a short period of time was just crazy.
Yeah.
But
So when you started, so you're saying that your most memorable point was when that money hit that bank account that week after you had like the 5, 6, 10 guys on whatever, and you're like, man, we and that's what I tell people when I do the program. My goal is to get you to 5 trucks as soon as possible, because we know the numbers. We've talked about them. Everybody should know them. You can't lie backwards, forwards, up, down, inside, outside, transparency. It doesn't matter. The numbers are the numbers, and at the bottom to the top, the month revenue, the weekly revenue, the daily revenue, the per load, the per mile, the cost, they all have to add up to the same thing. And they're going to almost across the board, all overall averages. One guy could be better than the other guy, faster, more, whatever. That's fine. But eventually the fleet averages out at X numbers. And I know what those numbers are off the top of my head. Just like when I listen to somebody say something who's really passionate about something online, I'm like, dude, he's speaking fast and he's speaking passionately. He must know what he's doing, right? He's not talking bullshit. But then at the end of the day, when you look at those numbers coming in and you're like, okay, man, this could really work. That's when you realized, right?
Yeah. I remember, and the first couple loads I did, I don't know what, I think their credit, how every broker has a credit rating.
Right.
I think they just had a bad credit, but the first 2 loads I got were Zelle. They paid me Zelle right after I delivered. It just happened that way, which is very rarely it does happen. And man, as soon as that money hit in, and I'm like, man, I think it was like I drove out from SoCal to NorCal, and then I picked up a load back. It took me about a day and a half, and I think those 2 loads were at like $2,500, and it was just a sell. And I was like, man, this is amazing.
Right, this is gonna work. This is awesome.
Yeah, the money you can make is just amazing, to hit the account. But then the biggest aha moment was when I had 5 drivers, and I'm like, hey, having money being made while you're not there or you're not behind the wheel was the biggest mind blown. I'm like, man, it's just crazy how much it's just a mindset plus some hustle behind it.
And you can have a good living off just 5 trucks. Everybody doesn't think about that. They think about, oh, I need 10, 15, 20, 100 trucks, these crazy numbers that are, I've tried to get to 100, and it's not easy, even with my knowledge. And I am always looking for new information and new mentors, and it's just not easy. But that's why I try to get people to go to 5 trucks, because if every truck does an average of 5,000 a week and you're doing 40 weeks a year average with 1 week off a month, so you're not running 52, you're running 40. And that's what they do with between breakdowns, holidays, birthdays, I'm tired, whatever, vacations, because they're making money at 200 grand a year a piece in revenue. Now you got 5 trucks, you got $1 million a year company. You're a legitimate company at $1 million a year revenue. And if you got a 10% margin on that, you're putting 100 grand in your pocket, maybe it's 7%, maybe you land at 12% if you're lucky. but you're still making a good living for facilitating something that these people need. These guys out there need payroll, they need back office, they need compliance, they need someone to help manage it, they need some dispatch, they need all these things, and they need good people, because there's enough bad ones out there that rip people off and do shitty stuff, but they need good ones, and all of my clients have seemed to do well in legal, moral, ethical business and grow good businesses. So I'm glad to hear that you were able to grow in such a short period of time with that and make it happen and still be up at like the 3 to 5 truck level now. But one of the questions I ask everybody, but I really want to ask you, because the name, like the logo, everything you go after, you have an awesome, badass logo on the trucks, man. I wish I could pull it up, but how do you approach decision making?
As far as what, like when I bring
everything, man, like what goes into your mind, and like you sit and think, okay, like meticulously, do you plan out methodically things, or do you just jump into it and like, we're gonna all skin in, we're gonna risk it and just trial and error? Like when you sit down and like, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna go hot shot, we're gonna go flatbed, we're not gonna run these regions, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna take that low, we're not gonna, like, what really goes through your mind? How do you approach it? What's the steps to you guys, like growth goals, where you want to be, and how do you get there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a quick action taker. I feel like I've always been like that growing up. But before I jump into anything, I do a lot of research. I try to compress the amount of research and time I spend on that. But I always do a lot of research. I mean, I think before I got you, to get on a conference call and got your mentorship, man, I looked into like tons of other people through YouTube, Google, and everything. Like I like to do my research prior to, just to make sure, hey, like this is the right decision. Because once I make that decision, I've always been like, go, 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 go. Like don't look back. I've always just pushed forward.
Yeah, there is no turning back. Just burn the bridges and go, right?
Right. So I've always been, to look at all my resources around and making sure, you're obviously not always going to make the first decision correct, but making sure I had everything in place before, I go in without fucking something up, and then it just gets 10 times worse.
Right. So yeah, it's kind of the same way I do things. I'm one of those. It's funny because my dad, when we were in construction, he would always say this shit. But my dad is the planninest motherfucker on the planet. He will draw out a fucking 500-step plan, and then he would come to me as I got older and in the construction business, I was running things. He'd be like, "This is how we're gonna do it." I'm like, "It's already done." And he'd be like, "What the fuck?" You know what I mean? Like, listen, just start ripping shit down like a Band-Aid and just get to it, and we'd get in projects and he would just be like, "It's fucking dirty. That's not how you do it." Or, "That's not safe," or whatever. I'm like, "Listen, just look away. Just look away. When you look back, it'll be done. And that's it. I don't have time for this shit. The 47-step plan, a powwow, 3 days to get it done. I can do it in 30 minutes. Just get the guys in there. It's not always pretty. And sometimes you need that finesse. Sometimes you need to sit down and methodically plan everything out and get in there and do it with a fine-tooth comb and a scalpel. And sometimes you just gotta, you're in the field, you got 2 sticks, duct tape, and a Band-Aid, and you're like, let's just fucking do what we got to do,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I could be a perfectionist at times, I get all the details in place before, I proceed forward. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's money coming in and just staying in, more than how the logo looks in the website.
Yeah, those clients that and you weren't one of them. You already had a lot of that in place, and we didn't really have to go through that step. But I mean, we did the social medias and stuff, but a lot of it you already had in place. But the clients that call me and they're like, "Oh, I got to have the right name, and I still got to get the LLC, and I got to do this and do that." I'm like, dude, it don't matter if you call it, blue dog shit. Just trucking, just go. You got to get the loads going. You got to get the money coming in, and then you can always change the name later. Hang your shingle up, start your, grab an LLC and go and just make it happen. And that's kind of always been my way of doing things, is just, I always make a joke. Like sometimes you have to, send a sniper, and other times you just got to put a shit ton of firepower down range as a joke. Right. And that's just, and I don't know if I got that off some military dude on YouTube or something, but it's funny because it works. You just have to do it. Right. It's like you're in Call of Duty, and sometimes you need a sniper and sometimes you just got to go. And 9 times out of 10, I pull the go button. And I'm not going to sit here and lie that 3 out of 10 times it ricochets right here. So, you know, a lot of the lessons that I learn or that I teach, I've learned the hard way, you know, and I went to school and I was just like, this shit ain't for me. It's too slow. I need to, you know, be making real life decisions and trial and error. Um, so, you know, could you recommend? I always ask my clients too. Can you recommend any books, resources? What motivates Andreas? Basically, who do you follow? I know we were just talking off camera. Some of the guys that I listen to, you listen to as well, that are out your way, Cali way, whatever, Phoenix. But who do you watch? Who motivates you? How does Andreas get motivated? How does Lion Logistics get motivated? What content? What books? What people? Influences? Whatever you want to call it. Who the hell are you watching that's motivating that brain, that's motivating that company to want to do shit?
Yeah, good question. You know, I go from a quite a handful of different people. As far as like maybe motivational, I did a lot of Tony Robbins. I went to all his events, read majority of all his books. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. That's another
Great book.
yeah,
Great fucking book.
great book. Marketing, sales, a lot of Grant Cardone. 10x, the 10x book is great. It gets you really out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you read that book, I mean, it gets you up and going. Like, hey, you can't be living so small. And as soon as you start expanding it and get into this mindset of self development, I mean, when I still get on the road, many times, obviously the pay's got to be good, but
Right.
get on
Me
the
too.
road. Yeah, I'm constantly listening, you know, to books. I mean, The Power of Now.
That's another great book. For anybody listening, those two books, if you've never read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, or The Power of Now, those are great fucking books.
Yeah, I think it's what you know step of life you're in. If you're looking to start a business, maybe focus more on the marketing, entrepreneurial side. If you know you got very like tired of life or you're not as motivated, maybe more motivational content that you can lead towards. But yeah, you know, Ed Milet, I'll listen to that guy also.
Yeah, I
Some of
love Ed. Ed's the man, dude.
Yeah, So you know, it's always constant. I do a lot of Audible. So
Dude,
it's all
this year I downloaded Audible, man, and I heard something last year. Probably, I think I heard it like 3 or 4 years ago, actually, at my because I just got one of our new houses this year, and I moved. But at my first house, when I remember I heard it, they said the average CEO reads like 28 books a year, some crazy 48. I don't remember what it was, some high ass number, and the average American reads point 0.5, not even a whole fucking book every year. And I was like, I'm not gonna be that. I'm not. So I'm like, this is a muscle that has to be worked out. So I downloaded Audible and I just went through and got a fuck ton of books. I'm like, boom, 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 boom. I spent like $400 just ding, 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 ding. And I've already gotten, and just being on the road, it is easy on the road though. I'm not gonna say I can sit and listen to a book and just boom. So that is an advantage that people have. If you have time, but I do it now going to the gym, driving to the gym, driving back. I got freaking 10 acres I have to mow, you know, with a mower and tractor, and I listen to it on the mower. But I've already crushed like 27 books this year, and a couple of them changed my perspective. One of them being this 75 hard book, which I actually watched the YouTube channel. He has an app and a book, and I was like, I'm gonna get the book. I got to read 10 pages a day anyway for the program, so I got that. But you know, I'll give you one is Alex Hermosi, dude. With he's the big lumberjack looking dude that has the flannels and shit. And he just dropped a new one about a month ago. I read that one too. It was nuts. But $100 million offers and $100 million leads.
I heard about.
If you haven't read those yet, go read those, and it will blow your mind.
I got the book. I haven't started on it though yet.
Dude, I'm telling you, you're gonna pick it up and you're not gonna be able to put it down. You'll stay up all night no matter what reading that motherfucker. That's what happened to me. I read both of them straight through. I didn't even stop. They're short reads, 6 hours, whatever. But he took a company. He's worth a couple $100 million now, and he has a company called acquisition.com, sold off his other companies. But dude, he did this when he was like between 23 and 27. Okay, young ass dude, and just took these companies and scaled them to like. Read the books. That's all I can tell you. You're not going to put them down. I couldn't, and I don't know anybody else that could. Because if you're that excited about business and you hear a young person talking about how they went to like $100 million at 26, 27, and not only that, he did it with like a lot of digital products and stuff where he was doing like 70% profit margins. Wow. So the guy's like stupid money, and I don't know, just I'm following him a lot. The guy's smart. So,
no, definitely.
You got anybody else?
I really try to focus on a few because they're all going to come with different sides,
Right.
different perspectives, and sometimes it can really get you into this spiral.
Yeah, that's true. I see that because Grant, and you said Grant with 10X. That's my freaking hero. And I go to all the 10Xs and stuff. I got the fucking cash flow and the 10X hat up top. You can't see it, but it's up there. But anyway, yeah, Grant and the 10X movement, that thing changed my life. That actually, Grant Cardone and the 10X movement are responsible for the trucking guy, responsible for you calling me. I would have never built this person, this brand, this idea without him. I went to one 10X and I was like, I got to go be the fucking trucking guy. Like I just,
no, the 10X
in the audience, I came up with the idea. So that led to coaching you and all my clients and helping them build their business. It would have never happened had I not went to a 10X movement. How was Tony Robbins? I want to circle back to that and then go to my next question. But
for me, Tony Robbins was your 10X.
Yeah.
I went to Unleash.
I want to go to that. I want to do one of his programs, man, because he just seems super inspirational, man. You go in there like you don't know if you're going to be coming out crying, excited, all of it. Like it's wild.
Yeah.
Seems like.
Yeah, I went to his Unleash it's not too bad too. I think it was like $2,000 or something for a 4-day.
Yeah.
I mean, they're full blown 10, 12-hour days.
Right.
And that for me, Tony's what changed my path from my old thinking. He really breaks down in the Unleash. He goes into like the patterns that we were taught as a kid. For example, if a kid was always raised with like someone like a parent always screaming at him like, hey, shut up, you can't talk, or no, you got to do this, what I tell you, as far as like life things, it can really push that person back. And they'll grow older with this mindset that they were raised as a kid, and they'll be like, hey, why am I acting this way, or why am I responding this way, or why am I always into these abusive relationships? And Tony Robbins really, there's mixed, people talk good, people talk bad. I feel like that's with everyone, but he really takes you back to where he erases the past and creates the new you, how you want to be in the present moment.
Yeah.
And what you're looking forward to in the future. So Tony Robbins was my guy that really, the Unleash program, a 4-day event. It's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's the one that like.
Did you do the virtual or did you go to okay. So where did he do it, in Cali, or did you fly out, or what?
He did it at the time. This was, I believe, back in 2016 or 17. It was in San Francisco area.
Okay, so yeah, so it wasn't that. Yeah, well, it was a far ride from SoCal, but it was still worth going, right? You went all the way up there and made it happen. That's cool.
Yeah, at the time, I used to live in Sacramento, so I was raised in Sacramento, and then in 2018 is when I moved in Orange County. Since then, I've been living here, and after that event, man, I just got into like just this past weekend, I was in a 2-day event. It was like just mindset of expanding. Thinking outside of the box. It was in LA. I was there for 2 days. It was like 8 hours a day. So
that's
it's
awesome.
Like,
so we're definitely like-minded in the fact that we're always looking for the new information, the new motivation, the new, the new knowledge, or just all. I'm personally someone who thinks you should go to spend all your money investing in yourself. If you make money, you should spend, I don't know, 10%, 20% of your income on investing in yourself. And that's knowledge, mindset, motivation, health, fitness, whatever, man, just to better yourself at every level, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's like a drug, man. It gets addicting.
Yeah.
Because now it's like as you're progressing through life, you're getting older, you're progressing, you're creating this new mindset, consistency, and you're like, dude, I didn't know I was like this, and you start upgrading yourself. You're like slowly becoming a new person every time you're learning something. And many times, people are like reading a lot of stuff or going to events. They're like, man, I didn't really get much out of it, or like I forgot all the content. But it really, down the line, it really comes back to you right when you need it. It's really weird. But
it's subconscious, man. Some of that stuff gets imprinted and you don't even really realize it, and then you're like, where did I fucking ever hear that from or get it from? But it came from that,
100.
So, we talk, I mean, that pretty well killed motivation and mindset and that, but what are some essential skills and qualities specific to trucking that you've had to really learn kind of quickly on the fly in the last couple of years to make your business what it is? Like, what are two specific, we'll just say two, what are two specific skill sets or qualities that you needed to do this business?
I believe you got one of them is you got to be on top of things, organized. You got to make sure you're always organized, on top of things, and do it legal. Do everything legally. Like, go everything based on law, because it's an industry where, you know, a lot of accidents could happen, a lot of incidents could happen, and you want to make sure you're always on top of all the documents you need, drug and alcohol test, you know, making sure everything is in line, nothing expired. You know, they go for their tests consistently. So I think being very organized, staying on top of things, and you know, it gets to a point where you really have to multitask. You got to be good at multitasking, and sometimes you got to jump from one thing to another. You know, because at the beginning you can't just hire all these other people to sub you out and do your work, because you're trying to keep costs low. As you're expanding, you're trying to, you know, keep more in your pocket, because, you know, our expenses are up there, man. Especially when I started off, like the first 2 months I started beginning of February, March, February, March, my motor went out on my truck, because I started, you know, obviously hauling myself. And I didn't start with much money. I borrowed money when I started. March, prior to my motor that went out on my truck, I was taking a load. It was overweight, and then impounding my truck and trailer. It was just a highway patrol.
So when you started, did you start a hotshot non-CDL?
Yes.
Okay, so you had no. You went and bought a truck or rented a truck or leased a truck or did something, right? So you bought an older truck or something. So you basically started no CDL. And then built that and started driving, got some experience, saw what it was like on the road, you know, which is, I tell everybody they should do that. And then you grew that to a bunch of trucks, you know, by getting a consultant and a mentor. But, and now you're doing great and just killing it. We haven't even talked. I mean, I think I was out in Cali and you hit me up on Instagram or something and was like, yo, if you're going to be in, you know, Cali, you know, hit me up. That was the last time we talked, probably this year, right? So
yeah, I think right when I hit you up, you were already in Bakersfield. You kind of passed through. I hit you up a little bit late and you're already gone, but
yeah. So, but I mean, you had hit me up a few questions here and there, because even my clients, they do that. And you always ask questions. I want to help and just give as much value as possible.
I've never met a guy so busy, but yet so responding, man.
I try, man. I try to. I do miss some, and I feel like a dick. Cause I'm like, dude, I got that 3 days ago, you know, because I'll go back through my text messages, like, who did I, you know, because I'll check it, and then somebody will ask me something or whatever, and it just goes. And I'm like, shit, I forgot about that one. But
no, you're an expert, man. And any question I have, you're always like on it and give me a precise like answer to it. And it man, many times I was stuck, you know, different areas in the business. And, you know, I hit you up, insurance or bringing on board, or, hey, is this guy too young, too old, you know? And you were always on there just responding exactly.
Yeah, I just want to see all you guys do great, man. What like, you know, misconceptions or myths about trucking right now? I know a lot of people are like, there's no money, you know, you shouldn't get into it, or just whatever. What myths or misconceptions are you hearing right now online that you would debunk and be like, that's not how that goes, that's not really what that takes, or whatever? Is there still money to be made in the industry? Like, what are you seeing about that?
Yeah, I mean, I am on all the Facebook groups, trucking Facebook groups. You know, a lot of people, I think it all comes down to, like, a lot of people are like, hey, there's no money into it right now, it's slow. You know, every industry goes through its cycles. You know, you got restaurants that are really busy on the weekends, and, you know, during the week they might be a little bit slower. I feel like every company, every different industry goes through its cycles. It is a lot. The industry is has taken a turn a little bit and is a lot slower. But I think if your hustle's there and you're constantly, you know, even reaching out to shippers, we've done that where we called shippers directly. We went back and grabbed all of our Raycons and we reached out to shippers.
Right.
And we're direct here. For example, like, we reached out to all of the people locally here that we picked up from in SoCal, and we just on, and we got clients like that. So, you know, there's always a way, even through the hard times. There's always a way, but I think getting into the industry, you could definitely still make money now. you just gotta make sure you keep your costs low. Don't go out and get $120,000 truck and a $50,000 trailer.
Right.
If you could keep your costs low as far as your truck, trailer, try to find a good insurance. There's still a lot of money to be made. People are saying, don't get into it now. I mean, any industry, look at it now. Like, what is there to get into? People are saying like the economy is about to collapse, or real estate's going down. Like, is there to get into real estate now? I'm sure there's ways to make money.
Right.
So everything's got its up and down. I think it's just on your hustle. There's times like when I got in 20, when I first started, because I started late February. So I that year, and then I took December off. That year I worked probably a total of like 7 months, and I grossed over 220.
Right. For the truck, which is awesome. I mean, in that short amount of time, 7 months yourself doing 220, you were grinding your ass off. So
well,
that's awesome.
the economy was good then. The truck
That's true. I mean, it was a different market. I'm not going to lie about that. But that's one thing I like to tell everybody is like, you're still in business. You're still doing okay. My other clients that I've talked to, I've had, I just had Hot Shot Benny on. I had another client on today. I'm going to continue to do this, and we're all hurting. Every one of us. There's nobody that's exempt from it, guys. That we're not. And when we say hurting, we're not where we were. So when we made financial decisions based on, like, you were at one point maybe at 10 trucks or whatever at your peak, and now you're not. I was in the same case. I made financial decisions and things with my life and my business based on 60 trucks. So everybody's hurting at a different level, at a different capacity, and we're all trying to make it work, but we're still here. So the money's still there if you do the right things, I think. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to is like, it might be in times like this, you might have to get back into the truck. Which
right.
I got, beginning of this year, I wasn't working at all. I was just doing work from home and just, assisting my owner operators because even though, I want to get back to eventually 10, 15 trucks and I want to keep the circle very tight so I could provide very good customer service for my drivers. But, at some point, like, I had to get back into the truck and work with this economy being down. But there, like I said, as long as you're there and you're putting the time and the grind in, there's always going to be work. I mean, I'm still I'm still getting really good rates right now. We have a lot of direct customers.
And that's what it boils down to too. Me and Hot Shot Benny were talking about that, or me and my customer or client today is, you did exactly what you got to do. I've been working on customer lists because I actually went through with my company I have several companies, but the one that I went through that we've been open like almost 10 years, I went through every rate con, man, and we had like 16,000 loads that we did. And you got to think that's times two because you've got the shipper and the receiver. And in some cases, it's job site or it's something that's not going to pan out or they didn't, a lot of the brokers won't put it on there. And everybody's like, well, isn't that robbing from the broker? Yeah, but they're already working with brokers. And the chances are them still working with that broker after all these years later is slim to none because they cycle through C.H. Robinson to this person. The chances of that agent even still working at, said Landstar, said CH, said TQL, whoever, they're probably, they have a short career span. There's some big ones there that are good. And I'm not saying go stab that guy in the back if you have a good relationship, but it's an easy list to build and call, and you'd be surprised how many people are willing to just, because they don't even like brokers, they're willing to go straight to you, get the truck, service it. And if you've already worked with them, picked up with them, and proven concept, they're gladly going to give it to you, give you that fuel surcharge, and give you the rate that they were paying anyway. So now you're picking up that margin, and you could not take a brokerage fee and pass that on to your carrier. That makes happy carriers that want to stay, that want to be successful, that will be successful, all due to you. And you can still make your 20% margin or 30 or 15 or whatever you're doing, 25% split. But it works better that way. So you're doing the right things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's ideally, if I was to do, like, let's say start all over for my first load where I delivered it, build that relationship. Like, sometimes in the trucking industry, you come in, you just want to pick up that load and get out quick, go deliver it. You're just constantly moving. Take the time, 5-10 minutes, 5 minutes at the shipper, at the receiver, and just leave a business card, build some relationship. Because there's quite a few customers. I mean, we have one customer that gives us at least 2 loads a week.
Right.
That's just one customer. And
right, just
that
one.
customer is paying top dollar because, he tells me nonstop. He's like, hey, I could find 5 other drivers or carriers that are way cheaper than you, but I know you're always going to be there. I hit you up the night before. You're going to have a truck ready for me. You're going to deliver it. I can give you, you know, something that's really valuable, and I know it's going to get there on time when I need it. So he
Right.
always hits me up. He's my direct, and he's paying a lot more than any other person would take it for a lot cheaper. So, you know, build that relationship early on and take the time and hand out business cards, get phone numbers, direct numbers. That will save you in times like this.
Yeah, not only you're doing the motivation stuff, you're doing the right things, you're educating yourself, you're willing to invest in yourself and your business and your brand by getting someone like me to come in and give you some tips. And I always tell everybody that I work with, you know, go find somebody bigger than me, better than me. Eventually you're going to hit a level with me that I'm here and you want to go here or whatever, you got to find the guy that's here. You know, and if I don't continue to try to level up, motivate, and go to the Tony Robbins events and the different things and the 10Xs, then, you know, I'm not much of a mentor or a person that would give you any advice, because the person that you want to learn from is the person who's always trying to do better and learn more from somebody else.
Yeah, and then when I came
Yeah.
in, I remember when I was just operating, I was just a solo operator, and I got on call with you, and I was like, "How many?" I was like, "Aaron, how many trucks you got?" And you were like, "Man, I'm at." I think you said you were at 75, and I'm like, "Okay." I'm thinking like I'm nowhere on the chart. Like,
Yeah.
like it just. I'm like, man, you're thinking way too. And then you know that's when self development comes in, and you're
Yeah.
like I got all this knowledge, but like I'm thinking so small. I'm too much in the box because I'm trying to play it safe. This dude's running 75 trucks. Like I literally that night we spoke. I think we're on a call for like 2 hours. I couldn't sleep all night. I'm like, this guy's got 75 trucks.
And
And
have
yeah,
and
one
so
complaining.
that was the same thing with my mentor, and he only had like 20 or 25, and I was just like, what the fuck, man? I'm smart enough to do this. Like, why? How did he do? You know? And I went over it, man. Went over, and I did. And a lot of people say that. I've actually spoken at some conferences, and I was actually it's funny. I was just telling my wife this today because I've got some new stuff coming that's going to be really fucking cool. I got an app and some other things coming. I'm going to give it all to you, man. You're going to get the top shit. But it was just like I watched these people's heads explode, like boom, 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 little bombs in the audience, and they're just like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" You know, because a couple of them, I was like a guest speaker, and they're just like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" That I know they never thought about hot shot or this or that or recruiting or you know how to get. They were missing that piece of the puzzle, right? They think you got to buy trucks and get drivers and all this and that. And then I teach the way I teach things, and they're like, whoa, like what is going on right now? You know, we've entered the Xander zone or some space shit, right? So it's cool to see. It's refreshing to see, and I know the shit works. Even though, like I said, I feel like a fraud most days. Like I'm not giving enough information, but the shit works. You were able to do it. My other clients were able to do it. So the shit's working. And you're doing the right things. But again, it comes to mindset, like you said. I think personally, it comes to just you wanting to do better, willing to motivate yourself and go do the things that need to be done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you know, especially, you know, if hey, you're looking whatever industry you might want to get into, maybe it's not trucking, you know, look up to someone that's already in that industry that has done what they've done. And obviously make sure they're just like 10x, 20, 100x higher than where you like you're at or where you want to be. And pay that mentor, you know, because I mean he's gonna give you the roadmap. Once you have
Right.
that roadmap, you still got to input work. It's not just now, oh, I have the roadmap. I don't have to do anything. You still got to put all that input, but you're cutting out so much time trying to figure it out on your own and potentially doing it all wrong because you just don't know what it
What?
takes.
Yeah, exactly. And there wasn't really any mentors out when I got started like 10 years ago. There wasn't anybody. Their YouTube mentorship, you know, coach, guru, game, or whatever you know you want to call the industry that I'm in. That what didn't exist then at that time for hotshot, for trucking, for this at the smaller scale. There might have been consultants at the the big scale that I couldn't afford, and there was no YouTube channels that were really teaching this stuff. So if I would have been able to do it, I would have saved me so much headache, so much money that I've spent and stuff. So I mean, the little bit of money that I charge for the courses is like nothing. I spent more than that building the friggin' contracts. You know what I mean? That I give you guys. So it's like it's crazy to think about if I would have had that the time I could have saved and how. I mean, I watch these like and you too. You know, you got it. And you're like. And like you said, 2 months, 5 trucks. It's like, fuck, you know how long it took me to get to 5 trucks? Like years, you know what I mean? Of
Oh
trying
yeah,
to
I mean
figure that
like
out.
the first my driver took paid for the course, you know.
Yeah.
The contract itself that you have in there is huge. How are you going
Right.
to create that? I don't know. How many pages is it? Like
Like
45?
42. Yeah, 42, 45 pages. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, that's crazy.
Like I
And
had my best client went from 0 to 20 trucks in like 4.5 months. And I always use that as a reference point because I'm like, that's unreal. It took me 6 years to get to 20 trucks. You know what I mean?
wow.
And tons of courses and mentors and paying people and contracts and trying to figure it out, trial and error, hiring a bunch of people, screwing it up, buying a bunch of equipment, buying a shit ton of trucks, getting out of bad deals, bad debt, bad interest rates, almost going bankrupt 900 times. And to see this guy I give him a blueprint. He's just like, whew. And he's still in there today, and he's a good friend of mine. And because I get notifications every time he posts in all the groups, and you'll probably, I've done a thing with him, but TNA Family Trucking, TNA Family Trucking, he posts literally in every effing group every day consistently, like 365 days a year. And I'm just like, man, the consistency and hustle of this guy is respectable because I'm not even that consistent. It's like even when I was doing it, like what you guys do to post in the groups and do your ad, I wasn't never consistent like that. I would get 2 or 3 guys and I would just focus on onboarding them. I wouldn't even focus on doing anything else. He'll do that and dispatch and continue to recruit every day. I'm just like, holy shit, man. But it works.
Yeah, that's where I bet you I want to get back in. I want to go hard again on getting owner operators. We have our insurance coming up now for renewal. So as soon as it gets closer to the renewal, every new driver I bring on, the insurance always picks up on the first and last month for that new driver.
Yep.
So like
So
now,
it
yeah,
makes it tough that way for sure.
it makes sense.
What advice would you give someone who's considering a career in trucking or starting a fleet or getting into the industry? What would be, before we close out, what would be some advice that you would give somebody wanting to get in right now? Like today, they're like, hey, man, I'm thinking about getting in this industry. Andreas, what would you recommend? Like what would a couple little things that you would tell them?
I would say go get a mentor that has done that would be my first step because he's gonna lay out step by step what you need to do. It's not an easy industry. It's an easy industry if you have it laid out. You still have to input the work, but it becomes easier. If you don't have it laid out, it's a tough industry to be in if you don't have it laid out and try to figure out. So definitely go get a mentor. Is the first thing I would do, and get experience. If you're looking to operate a fleet, go get some experience first under your belt. I feel like I wouldn't have been able to create the owner operator program we have now unless I actually got behind the wheel and did the work myself. So build up some experience under your belt, and learn the whole industry in and out because you don't know what it is all about until you actually try it and get dirty into it. So get experience, get a mentor, and just work at it, and you'll get far for sure.
Yeah.
And
I couldn't have said that better myself. I say that all the time. I think that me, vetting myself and becoming an authority is all the transparency and the videos of me doing the loads, doing the shit out there, that I love it some days I hate it, and I miss the road. But I got little kids. I can't do it anymore. But that anything, I think anything you want to do, you want to do a McDonald's franchise, go into working at McDonald's and flip some burgers before you try to tell somebody how to do it, And that's my opinion. If you want to go, open a Subway, you better know how to make a sandwich and work at a Subway for a little bit. What if somebody calls in? What if everybody calls in? Then what? You know what I mean? Or whatever. And I tell this to a lot of clients, don't get in the position of, it's 1 inch on the map. Why is it taking you 5 fucking days to get there? You know what I mean? On Google, it's just right here, And then you're like, I can't even go that way. That's for fucking cars, asshole. Like I'm on a hot shot. It's, X long, whatever. So it's funny I couldn't have said it better,
Yeah, I mean, I got till this day, I got drivers texting me, hey, like this load is weird. How do I strap it down? How do I chain it? At that point, you're the expert for him. You're
Right.
obviously the owner of the company, so you got to be able to jump on, and you won't know all that stuff unless you did it yourself. Unless you tried it. So stuff like that. Or they're confused about certain things, and you'll pick up on it quick once you have that experience. It becomes really like, oh, like for yourself, it's simple. For him, for the driver, it might be hard, but for yourself, it's so simple because you've done it. So definitely get the experience. Either work for a company and build some experience, and then go on and start your own.
Yeah. Sure. Couldn't have said it better myself, man. So last and surely, man, what a overall quick synopsis or just rundown. Do you think it was worth it working with the trucking guy? Do you think that there was value there? Did it help your business? Was it worth it? Would you do it again?
100%, man. I would do it again, even if you pumped up the price to 2 grand, 3 grand. I think it's well worth it. I mean, I don't know what you have it at now, but
Yeah, I think it. I don't remember. We've went up a little bit. I think it's like $6.99 now or $7.99. And I don't remember what you paid. Back then it could have been 300. Like we started at like
I think it was
300,
599.
$5.99. Yeah, I think it's not far off from that now. Yeah,
That's no brainer. I mean, I think we texted like a couple weeks ago. You're very responsive. I mean, I'm shocked, man, how you get back so fast.
yeah,
I'm like, dude, this guy is like on his phone. Like, you're always getting
yeah.
back. Definitely worth it, man. Every penny. Where I'm transitioning over, also, I'm looking to open a broker company. Uh,
Hey,
might be a
that's
little.
definitely where you need to go. That's where you need to be headed. Obviously I'm not gonna, because you're a previous client, I'm not gonna, charge you anything, but we got some programs coming out. I've got a lot happening, bro. Like I'm about to blow
Yeah,
up. And
if you got
so
anything towards the broker side, man,
I
like
do. I got a
marketing.
ton, and we'll talk after I'm off camera on this because we're about to close this one out. But we have some stuff coming out that I want to change the industry. If anybody even is able to listen to this long, or I might cut this clip. I want to fix obese truck drivers. That it's a lifelong goal of mine. It's because there's so many people that got bad health. They're dying heart attacks in trucks, unhealthy. They can't run around with their kids when they come home, whatever. I want to fix the broker deal where they're keeping 50% of the money or any percent that's so large and not passing through the fuel surcharge to where they're just bleeding out the owner operator or the company driver in any aspect. And I think that going direct and learning how to do that, learning how to sell, really helping people, that's my goal. That's my mission. And then helping owner operators understand. I was having a talk with one of my other clients a couple of days ago that he was like, man, I don't know if you, and I'm going to ask you, but I'm sure you have the same problem. They call you, they're never making enough money. No matter how much they make, they're never making enough money, right? And what I told him is I've always got to sit down and talk with these guys. And I give this example because I have one of my oldest owner operators been like 7 years. He had 4 daughters all in college. He's paying for all their car payments, all their cell phones, paying for their college. Wife drives a Mercedes, and he's a starting hot shot, got the semi, been with me a long time. And when he got with me, behind on bills, behind on truck payments, behind on trailer, we fixed all that. Bought a brand new house, lives in South Florida, fancy house, the whole 9 yards, nice things, comes home, steak dinners, going out. And I'm like, dude, let's look at the math, right? Because you're knocking down big money, 8-10 grand a week consistently. He's one of my grinders, right? But so when we did the math, I'm like, bro, those girls got to pay for their own phone. They got to get jobs. I know they're in school, but dude, you could never make enough money. Your wife's car payment is $1,200 a month. Your truck payment is $2,000 a month for the semi. Your daughter's car payments are another $1,500 a month. The cell phone bill's $1,000 a month. The mortgage is $3,000, $3,500 a month on the house. It's like you could never make enough money. You can't drive 5 trucks at one time, and he didn't want to own his own company. We since helped him get to his own company, but and go that route. And but it's just like you got to sit and coach these guys. Like, hey, do your goals line up in your financial? Are you good with money, financials at home? Are you being realistic, or are you just blowing money and not paying attention? Because that'll make it feel like you're not making any money.
Yeah, and like I think it's Grant Cardone saying like, hey, always stay broke.
Right.
As you get money coming in, either invest it, save it, or put it back into the business, because that's when you're the hungriest,
Right. Exactly. And these guys don't do that, and they don't save. So I've got some tools coming out to help guys manage their finances that I'm really excited about. I think that's going to be really cool, really fun that I'll give it to you for free. You can give it to all your owner operators. You can use it yourself maybe and help them track and mentor them. But I've had almost all of them. And I actually did one this weekend, one of my owner operators. And I was like, it's simple, man. Revenue minus fixed minus variable expenses equals profit. That's all I care about. And if you don't even know what that number is, you don't know shit. You don't. If I can manage it on when I had 60, plus trucks, if I could manage it on every single one of them and know every dollar, every average rate per mile, you ought to be able to know what you make at the end of the week. You know what I mean? Just one truck, buddy. You're just you by yourself, and I can do it on every one and spit the numbers out. So, It's going to be cool, man. And the brokerage stuff, we're definitely going to talk here in a minute, but that I've got some stuff coming for that too, and some other stuff also.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, we're gonna close this one out, man. I appreciate you coming on so much. Thank you so much for that. Tell everybody where they can find you real quick. I'm gonna probably put that back at the front. But where can they find your company if they want to lease on, they want to do business, they want to hire you, whatever, which way they can?
Yeah. You can go to our website. It has all the information over there for owner operators. Any new driver that comes on has got to come with their own truck and trailer. We used to rent out trailers. We stopped for some time now, so you got to have your own truck and trailer. But you go to www.lionlogistic, no S, solutions with an S.com, just the way the company's out. And then we're also on Instagram, Lion Logistic Solutions.
Okay.
We post content there. There's a link to our website over there. Instagram, Facebook, website. That's what we're using right now mainly.
Okay.
All
Awesome.
our content is there. Information, phone number, direct contact, everything.
All right. Awesome, man. So that's it, guys. Again, thank you, Andreas with Lion Logistics, man. That's the fucking guy right there. He knows what he's doing. He's got a great logo. I love that fucking name, by the way. We were talking about that earlier because I'm a Leo, man. And I don't know how he got that, but that's Dream Unit, man. And then the logo's sick too. But I'm gonna have to steal that, call it Lion 2 Logistics or something. Like, but yeah, man, that's awesome. I appreciate you coming on, man, and we look forward to seeing you do big things. And it was good, man. We're definitely have to do this again for sure.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy. We'll catch you on the next one. If you guys need anything, consult thetruckingguy.com and check out Lion Logistics.